If you have an anxious attachment style and you really, really want to have a secure attachment style, this trick will change your life. The therapist that I learned this from is tagged down below. She's the same one in my original How to Heal Your Anxious Attachment Style video. This trick is incredible and I'm so excited to share it with you. I used to have a very anxious attachment style. I now have a secure attachment style because of tricks and information like this that I have learned. If you did not know, an anxious attachment style comes from a fear of abandonment. This is caused by trauma either in your childhood or with relationships later in life. And until you have a secure attachment style with yourself, you will never feel a complete and full level of trust, love, and safety with your partner and in your relationships. So I'm here to help you get there. The next time your partner is taking a while to respond and you think maybe they're out cheating on you, or your partner says, hey, I just really need some alone time for the next couple hours, and you think that means they're not into you, that they want to leave you, this is what you're going to do, because that is a sign that you have an anxious attachment style. Take your hand, put it over your heart, breathe in and out, and say to your body with your eyes closed, part of me that is feeling anxious and scared right now, I love you. I recognize that you are sending these thoughts to my brain to protect me in case the worst outcome happens. I understand that you are doing your best to keep me safe. Thank you. This part of me that is anxious, I love you. That's what you're going to do over and over every time you have these anxious thoughts. Our bodies are so incredibly smart. They think that if we can think of the worst case scenario happening, we can sit and deal with the pain in that moment instead of waiting for it to actually happen. But the problem here is that these thoughts are not true. Most of the time, what we're thinking about is not even actually happening. Your thoughts are not always reality, and you are not your thoughts. Try this trick out the next time you're feeling anxious and let me know how it works for you.
How to soothe your anxious attachment when your partner isn't around. Okay, if you're feeling insecure or you need reassurance, my first suggestion is to ask for it from your sweetie. But if they can't be there for you, try this sort of outside the box technique. All right, take a seat, get comfy, close your eyes, and get in touch with the part of you that's anxious. Keyword being part of you, because it's not the whole of you. And ask it how old they are. If that part of you says it's 10, then visualize what you looked like at 10. Oh, and make sure all the other parts of you that are saying you're being too sensitive or this is a pointless exercise are not around. Tell all those parts to leave. It's just you and the insecure 10-year-old part. Okay, now give that childlike part of you all the love, care, and attention it could ever want. Mentally and emotionally, be the parent or caregiver that it always needed and deserved in order to feel safe and secure, and that it was okay to speak up if they ever felt anxious. Do this for a few minutes or for however long you'd like. Practice doing this every now and then so that you can look inside for comfort if there isn't anyone else to be there for you.
I want to work on my anxious attachment because I really feel like that's what contributed to the breakdown of the last relationship I was in. Fair enough. And look, I think wanting to work on an anxious attachment is a really good sign of responsibility. I just would like to know, how did this anxious attachment manifest for you? For me, it was just the case that whenever my partner started to pull away, be like, hey, what's wrong? I just want to talk to you. They'd be like, stop talking to me. You're being too needy. And even at the end, when they broke up with me, they were like, you ask too many questions and you're too nosy. And I just felt like, there was something wrong and I just couldn't, I just felt like I was responsible for the breakup. So it sounds like in those moments when your partner was pulling away, you could sense that something was wrong. Your first instinct was to ask him how things were going. Is that right? Well, yeah, because I was unsure if they were angry at me or if something I had done wrong happened to them. And ultimately I was left to feel that way. Okay, well, the first thing I can share in terms of how to work through anxious attachment is also to understand where your level of responsibility begins and ends. You've done the right thing by actually expressing that you felt like something was wrong, and they just didn't have the ability to articulate with you in a coherent way what was bothering and triggering them. That's important. And because neither of you were able to work through that in an effective way, that's not your anxious attachment's fault. Anxious attachment's fault would really come up where, for instance, if you were starting a fight in order to feel like, you needed to see if your partner loved you. Anxious attachment, like a lot of anxiety, requires control, security, and clarity to feel safe and secure. And if anything, it can help us to discern how we can bridge security back with our partner.
Here are 5 ways that you can help heal your anxious attachment style. The first way is to address your wounds and trauma. Most people with an anxious attachment style have experienced instability and invalidation in a lot of their relationships, sometimes stemming all the way back to the ones that they had with their parents. If you want to heal and grow more secure, it's essential that you look at what led to you developing your anxious attachment style to begin with. This is about clarity and catharsis, releasing emotional blockages that are holding you back. So, as a coach for people with an anxious attachment style, some of the methods that I use that you might want to explore include writing letters of forgiveness and inner child work through visualization techniques. But keep in mind there are others. The second way that you can heal from anxious attachment is to learn to regulate your nervous system. People with an anxious attachment style develop dysregulated nervous systems based on the same invalidation and instability we talked about before. Your hypersensitivity to what's going on around you, as well as your over-analysis of it, stem from this dysregulated nervous system. This just means that you feel your triggers more deeply and acutely, and it's harder for you to get out of that state than it is for others. Some science-backed nervous system regulation techniques include breath work or meditation, as well as cold exposure therapy. But in general, this is about learning to feel into your body, sit with the discomfort, and self-soothe. The third way that you can grow more emotionally secure is also a way that you can regulate your nervous system, and it is through safe relationships. Your dysregulated nervous system came from unstable and unsafe relationships, so it naturally goes to assume that you can develop a healthier, more regulated nervous system through safer, more stable connections. Think about people that you feel like you can really be yourself around. Folks that really get the authentic you, that you can trust, that don't disrespect you regularly or invalidate you, and invest in those connections. Really lean on them, because what they're showing you is that relationships can be safe, they can be stable, and you can learn in that environment to better regulate yourself. The fourth way that you can overcome your anxious attachment style is by identifying and honoring your needs and values. This is about who you are and what you need, and no, you are not needy for having emotional needs. The fifth and final way to heal your anxious attachment style is to learn to effectively communicate. So much of anxiety stems from holding back about how you're feeling. You have to learn to communicate in inclusive ways that bring people into that experience.